What we're gonna do is use Drake's legs, because you guys specifically wanted to have a sense of, especially you, on denser tissue. So, we need to figure out what our table height is gonna be, and I tell you guys to typically start with it hip high. Then you know, depending on the person, then you adjust up or down, which is not easy when you don't have a hydraulic table. So if you don't have a hydraulic table, start the table a tad lower and spend more time with them sideline. You set it so that you're confident with them sideline. So, all right, so our area then is gonna go from the hip and lumbar area all the way down to the feet, so we're gonna have to drape that. We've got our pillow underneath the abdomen here to flatten out the low back. Now Drake, as a client, will lay here forever and sleep, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's also a student who will lay there forever. All right, now, a lot of people have issues about whether or not to work over the gluteal area, over the drape or on the skin. You have to learn to do both, because depending on where you work, I work on the skin. This idea of not being confident working on the lumbar area and the hip is new. You know, when I was coming up 15 years ago, 10 years ago, it was not a big deal. So this idea about not working the gluteal area, or the abdomen area, the chest. If you don't work those areas, you're missing where all of the transitional forces are moved through the body. So you really can't miss that area. And you can do a lot of things over the sheet, but you can't do everything. So I'm gonna drape again, yes.
So if someone is sensitive about the area and doesn't want it worked on, how would you go about explaining, that it can be beneficial for you?
So if somebody, because we teach you to always ask permission,
Right.
and then they say, it's more the abdomen you're gonna get that they don't want you to work on it. You say, typically I include and you show them,
Right.
the lumbar area, the hip area, the chest, and the abdomen. And is there any area you would prefer I did not work? So they say this area, and I'll say, fine, do you want me to not touch the area at all? Or do you want me to not undrape the area? So if they say, I don't want you to touch the area at all, I will say, that's fine. But your goal, if they had a goal, had to do with low back or whatever. I said some of the issues may be in that tissue layer. So there may be less, you might have a little bit of a less of a benefit. But let's start like that, and maybe with regular sessions, and then you explain again. You're always modestly draped. If you ever get uncomfortable with anything, let me know right away. Now guys have to be much more careful. So, you might want to come this way. When you're looking I have my clients wear their undergarments, male and female. And so if I'm going to work on the skin in the area, then I have to move the undergarment. Or they have to. So this is a permission issue again. And I'll say, I would like to work in this area, and then later, I'd like to work up in this area. So the underwear will need to come down a little bit. Do you want to do it, or do you want me to do it?
Go for it.
Because didn't you just tell me? So, you bring the sheet down. Now, if they're cold, you would bring something up right here, or you put a towel across there, and you just use the edge of the sheet, and you just bring it down. It doesn't have to be any further than the top of the cleft right through there. Now, if somebody feels too exposed like this, That's where this bottom sheet comes up. And you just have this triangle of skin in the area. So a lot of people avoid working this area because they're afraid to drape it. And that's not an excuse for not working on the skin area. So you just use and then you can tug this down just a little bit more, and they're nice and secure right there. Now if you had your fitted sheet on here, this drape can get displaced, it slides on there. So there you go. Now I'm going to use minimal draping for a lot of this so that you're not going to have to, otherwise you can't see what I'm doing. So this area would be then just a tad too high for me. So we'll bring him down just a little bit. And then when we start to massage the area, then we want to visualize what we looked at earlier. We want to think about the skin, the superficial fascia, the muscle directions, the functions, the joint movement. We want to bring all of that into play. And then if we find something, we'll think about that's related to their goal, then we'll think about an intervention, about whether we do anything with that. So first, this whole area, first you're gonna do your wet, dry, rough, smooth, and then you're gonna look to see if you get your tissue movement. Now I'm being very deliberate with this. If I was doing it just as I get started, you wouldn't be able to pick out the pieces of it. And so when we do our glides and our needs, we want to be the most efficient we can with our own body. So these adjustable tables are a little bit wide, so I'd have to lean. So I would just scooch him a little bit over. Come on over this way a little bit. Now, the problem with this is he's angled now if he's using the face cradle. This isn't too bad, but that might bother somebody's neck. Then you just scooch him down. You're not going to keep them in this position for very long anyway. And they can just lay their head to the side, or you can roll a towel and put it up the forehead. Okay, so